Hello everybody, welcome to my channel. I hope you guys are doing well. Welcome. So guys, I want to talk with you about a few things. As you know, on this channel you're going to get a little bit of everything. Now I do have another channel that's called Big Sister 824. It's still a baby channel, but pop on over there and I will talk a lot about more practical things. But every now and then, being that this is a channel I've started with, I have always spoken about practical things. Please excuse the outside noise and all of that. I am driving, but you know, I wanted to talk about this. Let's talk about child support. Now, there are people who believe that child support is the plague. Ideally, what you want to have is that your family stay together and work it out as much as possible in your marriage, your relationship. Ideally, what you would like to do is have a child within the confines or within the safety net, let's put it like that, of marriage. But as you know, that does not always happen. And so we're going to talk about this practical topic, and that can be a bone of contention among a lot of people, and then they find themselves fighting and having arguments and just being in a tangled web. So let's talk about this. Child support, whether a man has to pay it or the mother, the father, the child, or the father, because there are men who do have custody of their children. Child support is not the plague. Child support is not like a disease that you get upon separation from a parent. It is your responsibility. Ideally, really, you have to look at it as you have a child and you're responsible. Now, just because you're no longer together with someone, a lot of times people that have problems with paying child support, and I know there are different scenarios, so I'm just going to talk about just they don't want to, is because what they do is if they're no longer in a relationship with a person, they feel like they don't need to take care of their children anymore, which is an absolute selfish and immature way to think. So it's like, I'm mad at you, I'm not going to put any money in your hand. A lot of times they say, I'm going to take care of my child, I'm going to do what I need to do, I don't want to put any money in your hands. But if you're not living in the house, it's going to be kind of hard to do that. And what that does, even if that does happen, is that the person now who already out the gate, day one, is already feeling like, I don't want to put any money in your hands because of whatever they may feel, they now have a power dynamic if they're going to decide when and how and if you need the money and how it will be given to you. So even though they're no longer in a relationship with you, they still have a say, and it continues to keep you guys in contention. Hold on one second. Okay. My seat was rattling, the passenger side, because of the way it was positioned. But any hoots. So it keeps you in this contention. Okay. A lot of people who have what they call baby mama drama or whatever, a lot of times that happens because these two people, instead of having the law deal with it, instead of having the courts deal with it, for whatever reason, they remain emotionally entangled where you are subject to the whims of this man or this woman. So you end up arguing and having to just have these fights that's really unnecessary. Ideally, what will happen is if you have two responsible individuals who realize that this marriage didn't work out, this relationship did not work out, whatever it may be, they think about the welfare of the children, and the woman should not be greedy, or the man trying to just totally deplete this person and destroy them, because that's the flip side of it. Sometimes the parent who has custody of the child or the children is vindictive. They're angry that the relationship did not work. And so what they do is they're trying to utterly destroy and break the bank of the parent who has to pay. Then there are also those who, they may get pregnant by pro athletes and these individuals, and they're getting like $50,000 a month, but that is not enough. Okay. I think that is absolutely greedy. Like, seriously. So, but unfortunately, this is the reality. This is the reality, guys, because what a lot of the courts will do is that it doesn't matter if you feel that that man is making this much. It does not matter if the mother doesn't need that money. Some courts look at it as far as the reason why you're paying that money is based on the amount based on your income. That's it. You're right. I mean, why would someone need $50,000 to $100,000 a month? But what they're looking at is how much you make as an athlete, how much you're making in whatever profession you're in. You may not be famous. They're going to take a percentage of that regardless. So that is why I would say be careful who you have children with, because if you have a child with a salty hyena and a woman that has no sense, a woman who has no sort of decorum, she is going to get you. End of story, period. And you'll be obligated to pay it. So I'm giving you both sides of the coin here. But the bottom line is, when it comes to child support, if you're any person of integrity, you should pay it. If you're having trouble paying it or you're behind on it, it is your responsibility to contact the courts or do what you can to make it happen, and not be vindictive and say, oh, well, I'm going to only pay $2 a month when you know you could, or deliberately quit your job, do all these different things, hide your income so you can pay less. Because, guys, you know, the Bible says what you sow, you reap. Some of you call it karma, whatever you want to call it, but there is an unseen audience that sees what you do. So when you are being vindictive and doing certain things to avoid paying child support or to pay less, that stuff is going to come back to haunt you in some way, form, or fashion, even if you think or if it appears that you're getting away with it. You're not. Now, with that being said and done, ladies, I will tell you, or gentlemen, you cannot depend on someone to give you child support or to pay it. They may not. So if you're going to be a parent, a part of your responsibility is to ensure that you are able to take care of yourself and the children with or without child support. What I would suggest that you do, this is just my opinion, is that instead of sitting there arguing with this person, you allow the courts to deal with it. You allow the state to deal with it. And just don't even go looking for that. Just hope and pray that, yes, it works out and you are able to actually, they do the right thing. But if they don't, you need to still be able to care for your child. Hold on one sec. All right, guys, I had to pause for a hot second. I'm out and about doing my business. But, okay, so what was I saying? You have to trust the court system to do what they need to do. There's people who don't believe in it. I don't trust this government. I don't trust this government. Then why do you have a job? Why do you have a job? Because your job and everything you have, the government have oversight. You can never ever get out of that unless you just move somewhere off the grid and start your own little village. You understand? So when it really gets down to it, the arguments about I don't trust the government, I don't trust this and that, how are you living? I mean, every day you go and you log in on the computer at work. The government has your social security number. Do you have a social security card? Who do you think gave that to you? You understand what I'm saying? So a lot of times people just do that. They don't want to be responsible. Okay, but what I tell you is what that does is it keeps you from having the constant headache of an emotional or toxic relationship with a man or woman that does not want to pay child support. It's their responsibility. It's nothing for you to be feeling bad about. That is a responsibility that they have. And there's just that man or that woman, they go off on their own. You're footing the bill. And then sometimes you get the children are older now, and back child support catches up on them. And now they're weaponizing the children to say, oh, look, he or she's making me pay child support. You owe that money. Because let's say for that $500 that you never gave, or that $200 or that $20 you didn't give, that mother or father had to cover your costs. And you can go out and buy, yes, you went out and bought some shoes, you did this, and you went to, you know, Buster Brown's and bought this, and you got this and that from Payless or whatever you want to say, or what you bought. That doesn't matter. That does not count, you see. And a lot of times people pick and choose what they want to get because they're just saving their own pockets, while the custodial mother, father, they're the ones that have to take care of everything and then some. Okay? So that money is owed. But what you have to do as a custodial parent is not spend your time calling up the child support office. Did they give me money? Did they not? You know, you have to pretty much, once you put it in the hand of the state, you have to now kind of think you may never get it. You just may never get it. But what you do, you put it in their hands, because guess what? The state knows their social. The state knows when they're working for the most part. The state knows when they need a driver's license. The state knows when they're applying for a passport. The state has a lot more reach. So when you just go about your business, doing your job, doing the best that you can do, taking care of your children, years down the line, you just might get a present. Years down the line, they just might call you, try to call you. All of a sudden, they call you, sound like they have a stomach ache, right? Because, they got their license revoked, or this happens. And then here's the gaslighting, and they turn the table. Oh, look what you did. No, sir. No, ma'am. I had nothing to do with that. Those were your choices. Because before it gets to those extreme measures, the court system and the state would have been trying to reach out to them. Hey, reach out to us. And they'll be willing to work with them. When someone cannot renew their license, or someone at a traffic stop gets arrested, a routine traffic stop becomes an arrest because they come up being delinquent with a state, that is not your fault. And unfortunately, a lot of custodial parents are being manipulated by the irresponsible parent, who now the consequences of their actions have come into play. They're made to feel as if they're doing something wrong, and they use the children to say, look what your mom or dad is doing. But that has nothing to do with your children at all. Now, some people may think, oh, that's wrong, but a lot of you're missing out on your blessing. You're missing out on your increase when things like that happen. Why do you get the increase? Because while you're doing what you need to do, you're not going over trying to get them back. You weren't being vindictive. You were faithful. You continued to parent. You covered the expenses. You went without at times and did what you needed to do. God is working it out. You understand what I'm saying? So when you put everything in the hand of the state, you just kind of think, I may never get this money. So you can't be arguing with him or her, trying to get them to do anything. You just be faithful. You be loyal. You do what you know to do. You do the best that you can. And then once you have done that, there may very well come a time and come a day when you are able to you just get a check. You just see something in the bank. Because if they're anywhere in the United States, it may be different in other countries. Because I know, for example, like in Germany, you're not going to just get child support. The father has to claim the child. He has to want to and sign something acknowledging he's a father. And pretty much the same as in the United States, but there are a lot of different things. But here it could be anything from garnishing their taxes, garnishing their wages. They can't renew their driver's license. They can't get a passport. I would tell you, having been in the military, I have seen soldiers on assignment to go overseas. Now, when you're on an overseas assignment, if the military is getting your passport for you, let's say you don't have a passport yet, the military is going to expedite it and get you a no-fee passport book. But guess what happens? I've seen people in the process of getting ready to go overseas. I remember we were getting ready to go to Alaska, and this is what they said in the briefing. We're going to get you your passports. We're going to get your no-fee passports. But just in case, for those of you, if for some reason you owe back child support or anything like that, it's going to come up. and you're not gonna be able to go on the assignment. You understand what I'm saying? So when the state the state government, your name come through and you're on back child support, or you're not paying it, soldier or not, your assignment, you're not going to be able to do it. And that's going to be a problem. Once the military does not get involved in your personal business until it comes on their radar. So now they're going to get something back saying this person is denied the passport because of back child support. Now the Army is going to say, they're not going to get involved, but they're going to say, you need to handle that. You need to take care of that, because what it's going to do it, you can't be where you can't go on assignments. You can't go where the military wants you to go. If you're unable to handle that and get yourself in a position where you're no longer back child support or whatever, or get yourself where you work something out, the military cannot say, oh, well, we're just going to keep this person stateside. That's not going to happen. They're going to let you go. They're going to let you go because you're not fit for duty. So the bad thing about that is when you take this, when you allow the state to do this, the flip side, it's not the bad side, is that now you suddenly become the bad guy. You're the bad person, when in fact there's a parent who is willing to neglect their child, who is absolutely willing to, they don't care about the expenses, or they want to take care of the child on their terms. Now, sometimes there are parents who you work it out together. You never go to the courts. You never do anything like that, because you guys have a relationship where you can work it out. And that's fine if that works for you. But the flip side of that, whether you're a male or female, is that it does put you in a vulnerable position. Because let's say you spent the first 10, 15 years of your life taking care of your child, really being there. And then one day, that other parent just decide, you know what, I'm upset with you, or I should have done this, or change your heart. You're going to owe back child support from the last 15, 20 years, regardless of everything that you've done in the past. So if you're a man and when you're married, when you get divorced, if that happens, the child support is something that's automatically going to happen. But if you are someone that you just had a baby and you guys were not married and all of that, ensure that you go to the courts and you put yourself on it. Because when you do that, that really works for you more than if they have to call you in, or 20 years later, they're knocking on your door and you're going to owe a lot. So what am I saying on a whole? What I'm saying basically is keep yourself out of the drama and the nonsense. All right, I'm back. I keep stopping for different reasons. I hope I remember what I was talking about. But guys, you have to put yourself in a position. If you are a man and you went out there and you had a baby outside of wedlock and everything, you cannot trust that whole system of, oh, well, I'm just going to bring you a couple dollars by week. I'm just going to do that and drop something off. It's all good, guys, but those are considered gifts. And you have to think of your future. You have to think of the job you may have later on down the line. You have to think about your child, period. Do the right thing. You may not like her. You may not get along, but that has nothing to do with the child. And that's why it's so important that you keep your gun in the holster. Keep it locked. Keep it on safe. Not semi, not burst, safe. Okay, because here's the downside of things, okay? Children are a responsibility whether you're getting along or not. And there are women, yes, will have the baby and just hand you the child, right? And she goes off and she lives her life and she's doing whatever she wants to do. She, drop a couple change every now and then, bring some shoes by, went to Buster Brown and bought you some shoes, bought some for the baby, bought a pencil, got a little backpack, and they think they're doing something. You're taking care of everything, right? And all of a sudden she comes back and a kangaroo, I want my baby back. And what can you do about it? Nothing. Okay, and then she's like, I'm a custodial parent, I need child support. But here you are, you've always been taking care of your child. So you need to understand the laws. And I have to say something that happens, especially with people of color. A lot of times, you know, we want to stay in that little, you know, bojangle relationships. And, you know, the guy comes up, you gonna put child support on me? Like it's a STD or something, or it's some sort of sore. Like, dude, lady, what are you talking about? You gonna put child support on me? So either the guys are saying that, or the girls are the women, okay, who wants to act like, you know, some kangaroo in heels. I got your baby now. Ah! Don't put yourself in that. And they see the courts as something bad. And I believe a lot of that stuff, yeah, there may be some injustices in the world, but I tell you, there's no greater injustice than putting yourself in this backyard type of brawl, arguing type of thing. You need to understand that, yes, there may be downsides to the law, but there are a lot of good things about it, and it keeps you above board. But a lot of times, sometimes people just don't want to be responsible. They want to do things their way. They're used to maybe growing up in environments and seeing where you're arguing and you're making agreements, and sometimes you sleep together. Sometimes that happens. People want to keep the door open for intimacy because that woman may still have feelings for you. That man may still have feelings for you, and the child is suffering. No one's caring about the child and the overall welfare of the you know, their children. So it's all about how they feel or what they believe they should be getting or not getting, and not about the child at all. But the magic of, and the good thing, let's put it like that, it's not the magic, but the overall benefit of putting things in the hands of the courts is that they have a far greater reach, and they're going to do their job. They're going to know things. God, what's up with that? They're going to know more about the movements of that parent and what they're doing or not doing more than you. And they're going to do their job well. But in the meantime, don't sit around waiting on it. Put yourself in a position to earn more money. Go to school. Learn a trade. Save your money. Take care of your baby. Take care of your children. Do the things that you need to do. And don't look back, and don't get into arguments, and don't try to force stuff, and don't get mad because you see them online. They bought a new car, they bought a house, they did this with their wife or husband, whatever. That's their choice. But understand that Uncle Sam is not sleeping. Okay? And it's going to come full circle. It always does. And they're eventually going to come around. Why you do that to me? The kids are grown now. Why does it matter? That has nothing to do with you. And unfortunately, as Christians, you guys are going to get played, right? We're going to get played to the left. Like, oh, well, it's not godly. It's not godly. The Bible says to render to Caesar what's Caesar's, okay? And that child support is Caesar's. It's not on forgiveness. I mean, you're in a position where you can say, well, maybe you want to knock off a couple hundred. That's up to you. But if not, there is nothing wrong with it. This person, this man or this woman, decided not to be responsible. Okay? And that is an insult to God in itself, because what they're doing is they shirked and they ignore the responsibility and the needs of the child simply because they want to get you back, or they want to prove a point. Or they believe, well, if I'm not with you anymore, then my child doesn't matter anymore. And that's not how it works. So understand that difference. You know, I wouldn't say just be evil and try to get them back. I'm not telling you to do anything like that. But when you're getting that back pay, if you want to call it, or all of a sudden you're getting big chunks of money into your checking account or savings account, or you get a check in the mail, however you do it, do not feel guilty about it. That's the money that is owed. And what they didn't pay, you covered. So all it is you are the parent, and you foot the expenses for the both of you by yourself. And all that is what's always been owed to you in the first place. You understand what I'm saying? So just understand that. and understand that God will recompense. I will repay. Okay? That's the thing. I will repay. So that means you didn't go after this person. You weren't trying to be vindictive. You just lived your life. You did what you had to do. You paid your taxes. You took care of your babies. You did all that you need to do. And now he has handled everything as such where everything's come around and now you're getting paid for it. Now you're getting what's been due to you. You're getting the thing about it maybe it would have been $250. Maybe it was going to be $500 a month. Maybe it was going to be $800 a month. They chose not to do it. So think about it. $800 a month, and for 5 months they don't pay. That's $4,000 that's owed to you. Then you add the year to it. Okay? Think of that. That's $9,600 that's already owed to you. You add some years to that. It seems big, but the reason why it's that big and they have that debt, that's how much they neglected their responsibility. Has nothing to do with you. It was always a small amount. So the moral of the story is, when it comes to child support, stop arguing and fighting. Please stop having these little backyard brawls with these individuals. Put the situation in the hand of the state. It's not a hard thing to do, especially if you're divorced. That stuff is already set in stone. A lot of times all you have to do is make a phone call and they're going to do the rest. Okay, some of you, it's maybe a little bit more complex in the sense of, well, you had a child out of wedlock, he didn't claim the baby, so you may have to get paternity, DNA, It may or may not happen. In your case, sometimes the laws is set where you're kind of just out there and there's nothing they can do because he refuses to take a DNA test. He doesn't want to have anything to do with you. You will just have to live your life and take care of your child and learn your lessons, and don't keep having children in that scenario, because that's what happens, right? There's no commitment. That man could walk away from you and say, I don't know what she's talking about, even though the baby looks just like him. But we also know that there have been issues, Jerry Springer, where the baby looks exactly like the guy and it's not his baby. But yet and still, just check with your state and just see. Unfortunately, there's just a lot of people that just won't do it. Maybe they're friends with his family or something like that, and they're on that on again, off again thing. And so they're always in this emotional time. They don't do what's right for the child because they're thinking of preserving themselves. Oh, we may get back together. I still want to be able to see him or see her sometimes. So you're not thinking about the child. So if you're not thinking about the child, then just live with the consequences of it. But for those of you that you're kind of going through some things right now, I want to put you at peace and just encourage you not to depend on child support. See that as a supplement that you may or may not get, but put yourself in a position to be able to care for your child, take care of yourself. Take care of your baby without it, your babies without it, and then leave it in the hand of the state and the government to do what they need to do, because later on you just might collect something, and maybe you never will, but you'll have the joy of having the peace of having raised your child, did what you need to do without the headaches and the fight and the hyenas showing up at your doorstep and all this drama and craziness, and just you'll have your peace. Does this make sense? Let me know what you think in the comments. God bless.